The difference between a cringy person and a super freaking talented, awesome person that everybody wishes they were is how long they've been doing it and how lucky they got. And you are not going to get lucky if you don't keep taking actions during that cringe period. The definition of cringe is to have an inward feeling of acute embarrassment or awkwardness. And that is as uncomfortable as it sounds. And cringe is what stands between us and the future version of us that we often aspire to be, where we're all happy and we're achieving all of our goals and we're launching our business and our creative projects. I want to expose my 7-year-old self for a minute to drive this point home. I was doing a school play and I was the narrator. In the midst of my lines, I realized that I had actually started saying the wrong line, and I just stopped in the middle of it and I literally said, no. And then I started over again from the right line. Now I look back at myself and I think, what a fool I was. It probably would have been better if I just persisted, because nobody would have noticed if I'd had the confidence to continue. But I was unwilling to embrace that cringe, and so I tried to make it right again. But in doing so, the overall project, the overall performance, it was tainted. But I was a kid and I wasn't a great speaker and I forgot what to say, and that's all right. How could I expect myself to be an incredible actor, speaker, whatever, at that age where I had little experience? So that's one part to this whole cringe factor, is that we expect far too much of ourselves. It's like, of course you suck. You've never done the thing before. Why would you be good at speaking to a camera if you've never spoken to a camera before? Why would you even be good after 10 attempts? You know, you can apply that to all sorts of things, like your ability to film nice looking things, or your ability to edit nicely, or your ability to, I don't know, fill in the metadata correctly. Like, all of this stuff has a learning curve and you should give yourself grace. We all know you got to start off struggling, or like with less talent and vigor than you end up with. I love Jack Harlow as an example for this. If you look back on his YouTube channel, you can see some of his first songs from when he was in high school, and he looks totally different and he sounds quite different. And I can pretty much guarantee you, if you looked at that without seeing the context of where he's at now, you would probably think, wow, how cringy. This high school guy wants to be a rapper. But it's just part of the game. You gotta just keep going. And then you'll arrive at a point where everyone's like, oh wow, this guy is actually taking over the world with his rap music. And then you look and you see, oh well, makes sense. In order to go from cringe to non-cringe, you gotta cringe, you gotta improve, you gotta change your perception of yourself, you gotta keep taking the actions, you gotta keep believing in yourself each and every day and showing up and doing what it takes. And that's what makes it less cringe. I think cringe really, it points to, I don't believe in myself. So you can suck at something and still do it and not cringe at yourself. You can suck at something and acknowledge that I suck and I wish I didn't suck. But the only way I can not suck is to continue sucking until I don't suck anymore. And a lot of people just suck, they cringe, and then they say, I'm destined to be cringy. You're not destined to be cringy, my friend. You're destined for whatever the heck you want. But you're not gonna get out of cringe if you don't embrace it first, if you don't acknowledge where it comes from, why it happens, and how you can change that scenario. Change that perception of yourself. You need to get evidence from the outside in most cases, because unless you're a monk in a cave, you're in the outside world. We're doing stuff because we want a reaction, we want to get the money in the account, we want to attract lovership, we want to have friends, we want community, we want to win accolades, whatever it is you want. And the only way to get that is to put yourself out there, to do the thing, to take the steps, and it's scary. And that's why most people don't do it. That's why most people stop at cringe and they say to themselves, oh, well, it's just not for me. It's like, no, you just weren't willing to be brave enough to take the step. When you're making videos, when you're speaking to a camera, when you're expressing yourself, the most common thing that stops people that I speak to is that they're afraid of what people will think. And that's all pretty valid. That is never going to go away. You can cringe at yourself all you like and still make the videos, still make the content, whatever it is. And it will come to a point where you are forced to believe that it's not as embarrassing as you thought it was or as you think it is. It's just a perception thing. People will look at you and they'll make fun of you behind your back. Just calling a spade here. That's what people do when you're trying to do something new. We have these judgments. We're like, oh, who's that person to try and have a YouTube channel? Who's that person to set up a coaching business? Who's that person to be a fitness trainer? Who's that person to do anything beyond work in a office cubicle thingy? We're pretty cruel, us humans. Our inner voice is awful and we project that to the outside. And then we come up with things like, oh, you're so cringe. Look at you trying to express yourself and change the world for the better. Oh, so cringy. And then we say that to ourselves as well. Who am I to change the world? Who am I to acknowledge that I have a valuable gift to share with the world? It's like, how dare I? So we don't do anything, or we do something, but we won't validate what we're doing until someone else validates it. Like, I've done a lot of different content creation styles. I've done sketch comedy, I've done music, I've done cooking channels, I've done crypto and NFT tutorials and faceless stuff. I've made hundreds of videos like this. I don't cringe at myself anymore. I've just got to the point where I realize that a small number of people seem to find it useful what I have to say. All I'm doing is just expressing something that I think other people might find helpful, or a story or whatever, because it's something that I'm thinking about at the moment. It's something I'm curious about. It's something I'm interested in. This concept of you're cringe until you make it, that's just something I've been thinking about lately, because people keep telling me that they cringe at themselves. And I'm like, yeah, well, obviously you do. You're a human. And if you're waiting for that to go away, you're screwed. The way that I help people through this is to sort of unpack yourself and come to realize the value that you have within you to share with the world. And that's stuff that comes from your experience. And I know that that can be daunting to do at the beginning because you've never done it before. And you're very used to other people telling you what your value is, and then you just be like, okay, that's what you think's great about me. Oh, you think I'm good with numbers? Okay, I'll be an accountant. Oh, you think I'm good at languages? Okay, I'll be a language teacher. Oh, you think I'm like muscular? Okay, I'll be a whatever thing people tell you, usually you'll run with it. And we never take the time to actually investigate ourselves. This is something that I teach in the free 7-day creator course, which is in the description. And there's a bunch of exercises and practical things there for you to actually unpack yourself and identify the skills and the values that you have to share. But I promise you, you stop cringing at yourself once you realize that you have something worth expressing to the world, that you have something worth sharing. And I think on some level we do believe we have something worth sharing, but it's not something that we care about. A job that you don't want to do, you can kind of see, okay, yeah, it's valuable because they're paying me, and whatever the job is, whoever you're servicing, whatever, I don't know, clients or customers your company has, you can see like, oh, there's like, they're smiling, oh, they got a haircut, oh, they enjoyed their coffee, oh, their taxes are done. Well, I don't know what you do, whatever you do. There's some value that you're giving, because otherwise you wouldn't be getting paid. And there's no cringe there because the whole world is like, yeah, we support you with your traditional path. But then when you're trying to do something non-traditional, that's something scary, it's outside of the realm of normal. And so we slap this big label on it called cringe. And if you're not succeeding, we call you cringy. If you are succeeding, we say, wow, how amazing. they're so brave, they're so talented. The difference between a cringy person and a super freaking talented, awesome person that everybody wishes they were is how long they've been doing it and how lucky they got. And you are not going to get lucky if you don't keep taking actions during that cringe period, because that is what it's going to catapult you from that cringy era into the era where everyone's like, wow, that person's actually doing something. And on the surface, you're still doing the same stuff, but deep down, we all start to perceive things differently based on what is happening on the surface. So if you're getting no views, like I always give this example of this video I have. It's called The Reason People Don't Like You. And I think like 380,000 people have watched that video today. But I made that video like 2 years ago, uploaded it to a different channel, and it got like 50 views. And around that time, nobody was really watching my videos, and I guess there was probably quite a few people maybe cringing at me, or looking at me like I was cringy. And maybe I was cringing at myself too, because I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, because I hadn't got that validation. But anyway, the point being, that is the exact same video, and I uploaded it on this channel like a year or two later, and just gave it a different title and thumbnail, and it blew up. You know, we literally have the exact same situation, but one's cringe and one's not. So the takeaway here is, just do the thing. It's going to be cringe until it's not. It's going to be cringe until you decide, you know what, actually this is just part of the process of becoming a freaking badass that people admire and wish they were like. Because too many people let that cringe hold them back, and my friend, I'm telling you, it doesn't take a whole lot to get past it. It's kind of like going to the gym and lifting weights. It's hard at first, but then you get into a flow and you get better at lifting the weights, and your muscles get bigger and stronger, and you can lift heavier weights. Cringe is just a dumbbell that you have not yet picked up. So start off slow, start off, identifying your value. Use that free course in the description I made for you. Start slowly sharing your stuff. Start speaking about yourself differently. Start saying to yourself, like, I am a valuable person who's got insights to share. I'm excited to share my gifts with the world. I'm excited to bring happiness into the lives of others. This is literal stuff that I say to myself after a breathwork session when I've cleared my mind. I'll be like, I've been nervous about something that's happening the next day, and I'll say, I'm excited to meet with that person, and I'm excited to bring value into their world. I'm excited to create abundance for myself by serving others. People might call that cringe, but I know that has changed my world. So I don't care if you think it's cringy, because for me it works. It allows me to live a life where I get to wake up and do what I want every day. I get to film videos in a field like this. I get to coach people and empower them with their creative expression. I get to work with incredible creators around the world to make incredible creative projects. And that's pretty cool, in my opinion. You can have your opinion, but I'm not cringing at myself anymore for these things that I do. And I wish the same for you. So have a beautiful day. You're cringed until you're not. So you decide, what do you want to do about it? All right, peace.